So, I think personally it's been a while since I came on camera and did a very honest video. Not that my videos aren't honest, but I think it's been a while since I've dealt with something that left me very emotional and just not in a good place. Um, I have been happy, happier than usual lately. And, that's because I've been trying not to let things get to me, been just trying to have a more positive outlook on things, and just be better, allow myself to be happy. In the past, I did a lot of videos where I was unhappy, where I just let things get to me, really complaining, and I've just been trying to be better with that. But today I feel as though I kind of had a downfall as well as a epiphany, I guess. And it just really makes me question how happy I thought I was. Um, so, uh, where do I start? I I made dinner last night as usual, and after everyone ate, I put away some leftovers. It was probably about enough for a serving, but in my mind, I just wanted to put it aside for my husband, and I didn't finish my dinner, so I put it away. And today, uh, I discovered that someone ate it, which left me a little bit irritated. Um, Frankly, I wasn't so much upset that someone ate my food because it's not that big of a deal. At the end of the day, it's just food. I think I was more so upset that this kind of thing happens often, and I just felt as though no one really takes the time to consider what I do or what I may need something for. See, a lot of times things get eaten or neglected, um, or just um, not attended to, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of times when it comes to the house, I um, end up having to do a lot of work, a lot of technically extra work. Um, I try not to look at it as extra work because work is work. But sometimes it could be a bit frustrating when I feel as though no one is really. I, not. I'm not even. I'm trying to collect my thoughts here. It's. I do what I do around the house, and if there are things that people are doing to make the job harder or more challenging, or just not being very considerate, it can be very frustrating. It's not that I expect people to ask me for things out the fridge or for every little thing. It's not that I expect people to clean up. But it would be nice if for certain things, it's asked, not asking me for it, but just, hey, did you have a plan for this or that kind of thing. Um, when it comes to like cleaning, I find that I'm cleaning a lot more often to try to keep up with the mess. And sometimes it can come off as very inconsiderate when there are just huge messes left, things that can be avoided. I'm not saying do the dishes or even wash out your own dishes, but, little things like, hey, if you had a really messy meal, maybe take a second and rinse it off with hot water. It would just make my job a little easier when I go to do the dishes and I'm not having to scrub or let things soak um, because left enchilada sauce on a plate and you left napkins on top, so now everything's stuck together. Um, and after I noticed that uh, the leftovers were eaten, I was frustrated. And frankly, I just wanted to vent. I wasn't even looking for a resolution or anything like that. I just wanted to vent as opposed to sitting and dwelling about it and letting it ruin my day. In my mind, I was trying to find a better way to deal with things. And one thing that I've been trying to do is avoid dwelling over small things and letting things upset me. And I do that a lot, or I'm guilty of doing that a lot. And another thing I've been trying to get better with is keeping things in because I'm very guilty of doing that as well. So I found myself doing what I thought was a good thing by calling my husband and saying, hey, do you have a second? Just want to vent. Because that's usually who I go to. Uh, but in doing so, it led to, um, well, I'll say in the conversation, I vented and I made it clear that I wasn't looking for anything to be handled. I wasn't looking for him to go to him or say anything, just wanted to vent. And I even asked him, hey, if I'm being a bitch, let me know. Like, I need to know these things so I can be better. But after that conversation, I um, was left to believe he went and said something anyway. And honestly, that kind of upset me because I didn't want him to go say anything because I, again, have been trying to deal with things better. And I don't want to run and, oh, let's fuss every time something happens. It's me going to him and even mentioning it was simply for me to learn how to deal with things better. And eventually I would get to a point where something like that happens and for a second might, say, oh, that was frustrating. I wanted that or I had a plan for that. But I would just move forward. I would deal with it. And in my mind, I have been doing better with that. But I don't think it was taken that way. See, the problem is I think that I have such a hard time when it comes to food and just things around the house and stuff like that. It's because of how I was raised. We didn't have a whole lot at all, but my mom did the best she could. My father would give her $20 a week to get groceries for a family of four, and it was a struggle, a lot, and um, it was the kind of thing where even when it was just the four of us, um, we would get our food and everything, but my father always got more, which that makes sense. He's the father, he's the man of the house, but it was beyond just more because you have more of an appetite. And, it turned into a thing where, we may have, a cheese sandwich and he'd go out to eat. And I remember as a child noticing that. And my mother never did it, but my father did. But when we had people living with us, it was even worse because things would, you know, get eaten. I remember my mother would have to like hide food, label stuff, hide it in cupboards and things like that to avoid people getting into it because she was on such a tight budget and she had to make sure that everyone was fed. The kids were fed, my father was fed, and even the people that were living with us. So her job was extremely hard, and it made it even harder when people would um, kind of disrupt her plans for food, requiring her to come up with other options or just frankly work miracles. And I see myself a lot in my mother, or how she used to be and what she used to do. And that's a struggle for me because here I am, 23 years old, married with a family, and I feel as though sometimes I have to hide things or label things, and I don't want to do that in my home. I did that as a child with my mother. I watched her do it, and as I got older, we moved out here. We were living with different people, and if I had something for myself, I would have to hide it. And it's a mindset that I have had for years and years and years, and it's something that I never, ever, ever wanted to have in my home. And I don't think that it's looked at that way. And I understand that because, nobody knows my experiences as much as I do. But I think it comes off as me being controlling or me trying to find reasons to be upset or be petty or childish. And that's not the case. At least I don't feel it is. But nonetheless, it led to a disagreement with my husband. And we talked a little later, and he was very brutally honest with me. And it it was a lot to take in. And I wasn't hurt because he said the things that he said. I was hurt because he was right. See, my entire life I've been taken care of. As a child, obviously, my mother took care of me. And when I got older, I was put in a situation where I had to start caring for my siblings. And even though I would help out and I was considered like second mom, I was still being taken care of. We were living with other people, and people were taking care of us while I was trying to take care of my siblings or make sure things went okay. Um, and even once we got on our feet and we had our own place, I would do things to help out. And I felt more like an adult when I was like 15, 16, 17, because I was getting out more and doing more. But I still lived at home. My mom still took care of me. Then I turned 18 and I got my first real job. And I felt like such an adult. But after that, I decided that I wanted to do what was best for me. And what was best for me was to stop denying myself and get married to my husband. And that's still the best decision I've ever made. But truthfully, my husband has always taken care of me. And that's something he pointed out today, that he's always taken care of me. And I never really grew up. I never really learned how to take care of myself or how to balance a checkbook, how to pay bills, how to do settlement agreements. I don't know how to do these things. And in that sense, I still feel like a child. I watched my husband's video, and what he said in the video was, in a nutshell, what we talked about on the phone. And He's right. I understand why he wouldn't give a fuck who ate the last of what, who did this, who did that. I get that completely. And I don't expect him to care. I think I go to him because, in a sense, he's my only friend. Don't get me wrong, I have people who I care about deeply who are far away, and when I'm able to speak with them, it is always a joy. But on demand, my husband is my only friend. And he's just the person I always go to with anything, with even the silliest things. I call my husband if I use a shampoo I don't like. I don't mean for me calling him and complaining to him to be frustrating or for it to be a slap in the face to the actual adult things that he has to deal with. But I guess sometimes I just want to be heard. Or in my mind, I think it's better than just trying to hold it all in. Um, but it doesn't make me right. And he said something to me today that just really made me think. It says, if he goes one day, if he dies, he thinks that I would just crawl in the corner and suck my thumb until somebody comes and takes care of me. And sadly, I think that he's right. And it just made me realize that I'm not an adult, like technically I am, but I don't know anything about life. I don't know how to do anything but be a housewife. I think I cook pretty well and I clean. I'm a good companion. Oh, my phone's dying. Great. I have to plug that in. But I don't know what I would do without him taking care of me because, frankly, he does all of the important things. You know, not people, maybe a couple of people like to give me credit for, all that I do. I put away dishes and I cook meals sometimes and I dust and vacuum. But none of that matters if I'm not able to maintain a household by paying the bills, having lights on, the water running. Everything that I do is cosmetic. If I wasn't here to cook, you could heat up something. You can go somewhere and get food. If I wasn't here to vacuum, it might be a little messy, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. If he didn't go out and do the things that he does, I wouldn't be able to do any of these cosmetic things. And it it left me really upset because I started questioning my purpose. Like, who am I other than being a housewife? And I know a lot of times, people ask me, oh, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm a housewife. They kind of give me this look like, okay, AKA, you're just lazy. And I'm starting to feel that way. I'm trying to find my charger. I I don't know who I am other than making my husband's job easier, I don't I don't know what purpose I serve. If my husband wasn't here, what would I be doing with my life? Someone has always been taking care of Asia. And everyone's, oh, you're nurturing and you take care of people and all these things. Like, I make people feel comfortable, sure, but I don't take care of people. Not the way he does. And that bothers me. I feel broken. I don't know who I am. So it bothers me that even though I had good intentions on calling my husband, that it ended like this, that I don't know if he's upset or what you want to call how he feels, but I do know that he's concerned about how I would be without him. And it's a valid concern because I'm nothing without him. And I don't mean that in a sweet way. It's a sweet thing to say, but it's scary when it's absolutely true. He always says that he would be a hermit without me, but that's because he'd miss me. I'd be a hermit because I don't know how to be an adult. And of course, I'm stretching, but I can't even have babies, right? I don't feel like an adult. I don't feel like a woman. And I think that I often try to find little things that make me happy to disguise the fact that at the end of the day, when I'm done doing my chores and making dinner, that I just sit around, I twiddle my thumbs waiting for him to come home because I have nothing else. And that scares me. I've lost a lot of people in my life. And the one person that means the most to me, the idea of him going, scares me because then I wouldn't have anyone else. And then who would take care of Asia? And I don't want to be that person that always needs to be taken care of. Maybe if I had a baby, maybe I would grow up. Maybe I would grow up and suddenly I have this little person who completely depends on me and I would have no choice but to be a grown up. I love my son, but he's an adult now. He doesn't need me to nurture and baby him. And I think that's a big part of why I want to have a baby so much because I think in the back of my mind, I know that that would force me to grow up. It would teach me things quickly, make me realize a lot. And right now, I just don't have that. And I think it bothers me more that I can't do that as easily as most women can. And perhaps I'm stretching. I probably am stretching, but I just I don't know who Asia is besides being a wife and cooking and cleaning. What are my talents? Do I have any talents? Is there anything that I can do that would be considered a profession? Right now, if I wanted to go to work, I would probably have to do like retail or something fast food. And I get it, the workforce is crap right now, but I don't have anything under my belt. I'm just Asia. I'm just a housewife. So, oh my gosh, my nose. when I call my husband and I complain about something, I could see why, from his point of view, here's this little girl who's just complaining about things that don't matter. I'm gonna pause and blow my nose because that'll be gross to do on camera. Okay, I'm back. Uh, anyway, I want to be the best wife that I can be. I want to be the best mother that I can be. I want to be the best me that I can be. But I feel as though I'm just going about this all wrong. See, my husband is a great husband, but he's also a great provider. I'm a great wife. Well, I wouldn't say great, but I like to think I'm a pretty decent wife, housewife. But that's it, you know? I don't know. I'm a sister, I'm a mom, I'm a daughter. All these things are wonderful, but what am I for Asia, you know? I just suddenly feel like the 14-year-old girl my husband met. What has really changed? Sure, we're happily married now, but I'm still just a child. So, after coming to this realization or having this brought to my attention, I thought, well, what could I do? What can I do to be better? I want to be better. Yeah, I cried about it a lot today, but crying about it is not going to do anything. So, what can I do? What can I do to be better? Can I go back to school? You know, what's reasonable? Maybe I can go to school from home. Maybe I could find a job, you know, get more active in the workforce, you know, bring home some bacon alongside my husband. Maybe if I'm working and taking care of home, I would be looked at as an adult. I would feel like an adult. Not just the lonely girl sitting at home waiting for her only friend to return. I just feel pitiful. I've learned today I'm not going to complain about things anymore. My husband clearly has way more to deal with than I do. And the small things I complain about must be so bothersome compared to the things he has to deal with. He doesn't care about what's in the fridge. He doesn't care about how much air freshener's left or if the vacuum needs to be fixed. These are things that I do, and I'll continue to do them happily, but I will do them silently. Because even though I may not have meant any harm by even talking about these things, I feel like it just makes his job harder. And that's what I want to avoid. So I am left with big decisions. Be a better wife, be a better mom, be a better housewife, but also grow the fuck up, get my life together, and learn how to